Now, this particular garment is from the whole Bishop Revolution, and it presented some excellent life lessons that we can all benefit from. I mean, the lessons aren't anything groundbreaking, but a friendly reminder or encouragement can be helpful from time to time. First of all, we've got this: it's the little things in life. Whether that's the simple pleasures of a cup of tea, warmth of the sun on your face, or curling up for a movie with your kiddos, I'm finding all of that to be the truth sauce as I get older. It might seem like a little thing, but this second method of the Bishop Revolution has no seams. No side seams, no shoulder seams, no seams at all. And the whole premise of this second method of the Bishop Revolution is that you can achieve this seamless garment since it's the little things that add up. I mean, between your bank account to the use of time to the health of relationships, generally it's the little differences that make various aspects of life either thrive or decline. So the idea is that using this system of dots, the spacing of the pleats from one row, if I can say that, to the next differs ever so slightly. But it's the slight difference that adds up to allowing a bishop to become seamless. Sure, the pleats need to be done by hand going this route, but doesn't that go back to the simple things in life? I mean, sit down, enjoy the process. Who cares if it takes 10 or more hours? Because in the end, you're left with something that's really special, right? Seamless, fluid, no breaks in your fabric. It allows your eye to just glide around unbothered. And because this garment is something special, I wanted to add some special touches to it. For starters, I made sure to line the bishop. A bishop can be lined in a variety of ways. I've got other videos that go over that, and you can even line a bishop after it's been created. It's a nice way to give the wrong side of your garment a polished, just a once-over clean look, if you get my drift. Another special touch was focusing on that hem. So this is a full circle skirt, and I'm thinking it would be fun to do a fabric hem that was made of portions of the circle. So I created a little template and using that template to mark the fabric. These are just rough markings since I'm going to fine-tune things by pressing the edges over using the template. I'm currently in between irons, so don't mind my little travel fill-in buddy. However, I'm placing this pink fabric on my hem and those little birds are peeking through, which I'm thinking isn't ideal, so I decide to line those little hem pieces. Basically, I'm sewing around on those iron marks, leaving an opening, trimming up the bits and pieces, and then turning things right sides out. Simple enough, right? Well, I'm giving them a pressing, lining things up, and starting to sew them together by hand, focusing on trying to hide all those little stitches. But when I look at the bigger picture, I don't like it. I don't like it, Sam I am. Things are off, and you can see the seam allowance, those raw edges. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. So, plan B. Going back to the whole idea of keeping things fluid and seamless, I know I'm really pushing the capability of this little travel iron. I'm taking some of this Swiss muslin in hopes of having enough to do a continuous fabric hem. And while I'm in luck that I do have enough yardage to do the hem, I've kind of got myself into a hot mess in a hurry. See, I really wanted to dot my I's and cross my T's with this garment, so earlier I decided to leave it to hang so the bias areas of the circle skirt would do its thing and they would relax and, do all of that before I trued up that circle. And this is when I thought I was going to apply those pink circle portions, right? So all was going to be fine. But now I've got a relaxed circle for my garment and a not relaxed circle for this fabric hem. Basically, I need to ease one into the other, aka a hot mess in a hurry. So I'm trying to piece the quadrants together, giving myself a starting place for all this easing that's about to happen. And joining the quadrants together, my hope is that the easing will be somewhat evenly distributed. You feel my drift? Did other ideas like a lace hem or a rolled hem come to mind? Sure they did. But frankly, that would be the easy route. What's the fun in that? But I also kept thinking about how pretty this continuous fabric hem would be. And it's so sheer. So this particular fabric, the birds will be visible, but I think that's okay since it is super sheer. So it looks like it's intentional as opposed to the previous pink fabric situation where it just looks sloppy, at least in my opinion. So the big moment when I finally gotten everything together, I'm taking it to my sewing machine, loaded up with pins, and I actually make it around the circle. I know it, breath of fresh air, breath of relaxation, of it being behind me. I'm really glad that I stuck with this hem since I think it's gonna work out now. And I guess this goes back to the little things adding up, being able to ease one into the other and sticking with it. Even when it seems like it's not gonna work out, just sticking with it, breathing and seeing it through. So when I trim the circle away, I'm being careful to keep the middle section intact so it can be used for other projects, right? No sense in cutting it to bits and pieces. There's a good amount of area here. For now, I trim up the edges of the hem and pin things in place, moving along to dyeing some turquoise bits and pieces. I'm actually had this thinking about dyeing some lace to pick up on the turquoise around the bluebirds within the fabric. I had this in mind before I switched from the pink to the mint green color of the hem. I get a rough idea for how much lace I'm gonna need and use that measurement to gather up some entre deux. Entre deux. If my French studies are doing me right. Entre deux. I'm grabbing my little collection of paints, playing around with them to see which bottles show the most promise. I really have no idea what I'm doing, let's be honest. Now that I have a shade that I'm happy with, I'm dipping that entre deux in there along with some Blanc Floche. I know it, how fun, right? Now I love Floche, but I do wish that it came in more shades. So I guess dyeing it from blanc to, using your paints opens up endless options of color. Party time, I know it. Sending invites out now. And I'm double checking that I have enough lace to go around this circumference placement on the skirt. It doesn't make much sense to me, but situations like this, the lace just goes. So add extra, and then some more extra, and somehow it'll all get used up. The math does not make sense in my mind, but alas, experience tells me to add some more and then add a little bit more. Now with this Floche, I'm wanting to get 3 shades. So my first shade is going to be the lightest, and then I'll add a little bit more dye, and then that'll get me to my second shade, and then a little bit more dye that'll get to the darker third shade. At least that's the idea, but again, I have no idea what I'm doing, so everybody just cross your fingers and eyeballs, all right? And the lightest bit of color is going to go on the lace. I'm playing around with the idea of coloring the little swoop areas, but I don't like how that's turning out. It's bleeding too much for my liking, so I create a lighter shade, which worked out since I used this for my lightest shade of Floche, because my first try became too dark for my preference. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing, y'all. So I'm trying out to just barely touch those outer edges of the edging area of the lace. And then that allows the dye to travel up some, which results in those outer parts turning blue, which I'm really liking that look. And with everything dried, I put this in a bath that's supposed to set all the colors, and then I gave everything a rinse. From there, I'm cutting some bias strips from that pink fabric that I tried to use for the hem. Remember from my first thought that didn't work out? Well, this pink fabric around the neckline I thought would be a fun little bit of color with this light turquoise whipped piping. The color scheme has been evolving over the course of this garment, and now it's kind of coming together.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes. Undercover agents of the other. Beyond gravel, beyond hand in hand, building castles out of sand, reaching for the grand. As willows align, we lose track of time. Head up high, now we climb. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes. Undercover agents of the other. Beyond gravel, beyond
When it comes to the hem, I first pin the upper area in place, again still dealing with some easing bits, but now I have a full-size iron. I know it. Glad to be playing ball again, and while I absolutely loved my Velocity iron, may she rest in peace, I went with this cordless option. I figured that would be a nice way to live life. So one section at a time, I'm marking 3 inches up, and then I trim about 1/4 of an inch away from there. So that means I'm turning down that 1/4 of an inch to my mark for the 3-inch wide hem. And next I take the entre-deux, trim up the seam allowances on one side, and then trim them off on the other side. And I sandwich that under the fabric hem. I sew this hem in place, and then I began to sew the lace to the entre-deux by hand, but it dawned on me that this could be done by machine, so there you go. I used the remaining entre-deux and lace to create the sleeves, and voila, my first creation of this seamless bishop.